Welcome to Kautilya. Today we will discuss United Nations Organization. In one or the other way, always either United Nations Organization or its one or the other wings will be in the news, either by adopting resolutions or performing one or the other duty in various countries. So what is United Nations Organization? Actually, why it is formed, when it is formed, and what functions that it will do regularly. Okay, let us see. So before United Nations Organization, there was another body which represented the world, that is League of Nations. Generally, any such kind of bodies will be established, okay, in order to promote either the world peace. So same way, the League of Nations was established after First World War. The First World War was happened from 1914 to 1918. So after this First World War, League of Nations was established in order to promote the world peace. However, this League of Nations was a failure experiment. It could not do what actually that was established the purpose. It did not fulfill actually the main aim of its establishment. Hence, the failure of League of Nations led to the Second World War. Second World War. However, after the Second World War, and already had an experience of the failure of League of Nations, which led to the Second World War, and after the Second World War, and putting in the mind that whatever happened, the reasons for the League of Nations failures, okay, the UNO was established. Now we will see in a chronological manner. UNO was formed, okay, to establish world peace. Okay, so the First World War, after the First World War, the League of Nations was established. Okay, so the League of Nations was formed on 10th January 1920. So actually the First World War was between Central Powers and Allied forces. Okay, generally war happens between two groups. So in the same way, the First World War was happened Allied forces as well as Central forces. Okay, so Allied forces consist of UK, France and Russia. The Allied forces consist of UK, France and Russia, and Central powers are Germany, Austria and Hungary. Right? So the war lasted for almost 4 to 5 years. After the war, the discussions were happened. Okay, so on 10th June 1920, on 10th January 1920, the League of Nations was established. It's actually the League of Nations was established on that day. Before that one, the meetings were held in Paris. Right? Okay. Now, here in the First World War, the winners are Allied forces. Germany had experienced brutal defeat in this First World War. So after this, the world army was staged in the Germany itself. So then the discontinuity or the disturbances were very much happened very frequently. Right? So the Second World War started in 1939 and it lasted till 1945. Again, this war is between two groups, that is Allied powers and Axis powers. Allied powers, France, Poland, Great Britain. Actually, Great Britain was initially, it did not join, but it joined at a later time. So Commonwealth nations such as Canada, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. So the Soviet Union also joined at a later time. Actually the war started in 1939, but Soviet Union joined in 1941. So again the United States initially it did not join, but it has provided certain arms and everything to the elite group only. However, Japan, when Japan attacked US in Pearl Harbor, this paved the way for the US to enter into the war. So America has entered into the war in 1941, and after this Axis powers consist of Germany, Italy, Japan. Axis power consists of Germany, Italy and Japan. However, the Axis power faced very severe defeat, and here it can be noted that on August 6th and August 9th, 2 nuclear bombs were exploded in the Japan. So US used nuclear weapons on Japan in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This completely destructed the Japan. So with this the war almost ended. So peace negotiations started with the end of this one. So why the Second World War has come? So the reason for the Second World War is the failure of the League of Nations. With that experience, so in order to strengthen the relations among the countries and in order to establish the peace in the world, United Nations organization was formed. This United Nations organization was formed on 24th October 1945. The day generally is celebrated as United Nations Day. So 24th October is celebrated as United Nations Day, right? So almost 50 countries attended the United Nations Conference on the international organizations in order to ratify a new nations charter. So that day the charter was signed on 25th June 1945. However, the United Nations has come into existence on 24th October, as I said just now. The day is celebrated as the United Nations Day. So again from 1945 to 1948, number of agreements, discussions were continuously happened. So again the 10th December has become very historical day. For the first time in the world, Universal Declaration of Human Rights was listed. So every December 10th is celebrated as the International Human Rights Day. International Human Rights Day is celebrated on December 10th. Okay, so the general United Nations consists of 6 important wings. However, for the examination point of view, the first 3 wings are very much important. The General Assembly, the Security Council, in fact instead of the third one, the Secretariat. These 3 are very important for the examination purpose. However, the rest of the organizations have almost lost their importance in the changed society. Right now they are not of much importance. Now let us discuss the General Assembly. So every country is a member in the United Nations General Assembly. As of now, there are 193 members in this prestigious organization. The whichever country joins or takes the membership in the United Nations in the United Nations, first of all, it will become the member in the United Nations General Assembly. As I said, there are 193 members in this country. So what it will do? It will discuss every year. So there will be a discussion in the 4th week of September 25th to either 30 or October 1st. So generally the 4th week of every year September, so United Nations General Assembly meeting will be held. If you take the very recent summit in the United Nations General Assembly's headquarters, that is at New York, Sustainable Development Goals were adopted. Sustainable Development Goals. What are these Sustainable Development Goals? In order to do various tasks, that is eradication of poverty, and eradication of hunger, promoting well environment. All these decisions were taken on that day. So the United Nations General Assembly had adopted these sustainable development goals on 25th September 2015. The programs will be implemented right from September 25th to right from 2015 to 2030. So all various tasks, almost 17 goals are there. 17 goals are there, and again the sub goals are there. In total 169 goals are there. So this is the responsibility of every country to implement or to achieve all the specified goals in the sustainable development goals. So very important for the examination point of view. Actually in the year 2000 all these United Nations had agreed Millennium Development Goals. So Millennium Development Goals were implemented from 2002 to 2015. So once the task is finished, these sustainable development goals replaced Millennium Development Goals. So these will be implemented till 2030. So Government of India is also performing and initiated a lot of schemes in order to achieve the sustainable development goals. So all these goals were adopted in the 70th General Assembly. All these goals were adopted. Okay, so this summit was held, okay, in September 20 from September 25th to 27th in 2015 in New York. That is the headquarters of United Nations General Assembly. So on 27th September, okay, so this is the latest development that happened regarding the sustainable development goals. So generally, okay, so we are celebrating June 21st as International Yoga Day. International Yoga Day. International Yoga Day is being celebrated on every June 21st. Actually, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, has proposed in the United Nations General Assembly, so the world should have a International Yoga Day. So he made this proposal in his first speech in 2014 in the United Nations General Assembly. After he became the Prime Minister of India, for the first time he went to America, to New York, to participate in the United Nations General Assembly's conference. So in his first speech itself, he proposed the world to have a International Yoga Day. On the same year, that is on the 2014 December 10th, a resolution was passed in the United Nations General Assembly. This is the first time that a proposal was passed in very less short time. It's a record time that was passed. Moreover, more than 170 countries has passed as agreed to this proposal. So this is for the first time that a huge majority that a proposal has got. So with these two records, United Nations General Assembly has declared that June 21st will be the International Yoga Day. So for the first International Yoga Day was celebrated in 2015. So in United Nations General Assembly, the decisions will be taken. If the decisions are not implemented, or implementation of these decisions is not a mandatory. That means the decisions that were taken in the United Nations General Assembly are not binding, but any decisions that is taken in Security Council are mandatory. Every member nation has to adopt or implement whatever the decisions that are taken in the United Nations Security Council, known as UNSC. Its abbreviation form is UNSC, and generally it is known as United Nations Security Council. So it consists of 15 members. It consists of 15 members. 5 permanent members and 10 members will be elected temporary basis. The 5 permanent members are USA, UK, France, China and Soviet Union, that is Russia. These are 5 permanent members which are enjoying veto power. However, apart from these 5 nations, 10 nations will be there which are not permanent members, but they will be elected for on 2 years basis. This is on rotation basis. So far, India was the member of United Nations Security Council for the 7 terms. That means 72, 14 years India was the member in this organization. So India is demanding a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. In order to gain the support of the world nations, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been visiting many countries. He almost secured the support of all the nations across the world to secure the permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council. Right. So only 2 nations that are opposing India's membership is China and Pakistan. However, apart from India, Japan, Brazil and Germany is also aiming or focusing to secure the permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council. However, with the same aim, these 4 countries have formed a group known as G4. So the main purpose of formation of the G4 is to mutually cooperate each other country should mutually cooperate with other country in order to secure the permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council. India stand is that it is the second single largest democracy in the world, second most populous country in the world. So by claiming these 2 points, so India is demanding the permanent seat in the National Security Council. Japan is the second largest contributor for the UN as far as donations are concerned. Same way, Brazil is claiming that there is no other South American nation which has a permanent security membership. Okay, so in the way, each and every country is proposing their side of views. So to mutually cooperate, these 4 nations have formed a group known as G4. Suppose if question is like this, which of the following group is formed to mutually cooperate each other to secure the permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council, that is G4, or what is the purpose of formation of the G4? So among the various options, this should be the option, that is a mutual cooperation to secure the permanent membership in the UN Security Council. This is all about UN Security Council. Now let us see Economic and Social Council. So this body in the present era, it's lost its relevance. So it has 54 members. It will be elected by a General Assembly for overlapping a 3-year terms. It is a central platform for reflection and debate and innovative thinking on sustainable development. However, most of the decisions regarding with this particular body will be taken in the United Nations General Assembly. Trusteeship, okay, so this was established in 1945. The main purpose of this is supervision, okay. However, so at the time many countries had occupied the other countries. That means most of the nations were still underlying without any independence. However, this is not the case in the present time, in the present era. So right now this also it's lost its relevant. Right now most of the countries are not even the most, every country is an independent country. So most of the countries have become sovereign nations. So this actually this body was established in order to protect the interest of a nation which is being ruled by the other nation. However, there is no such nations at present, it lost its relevance. And International Court of Justice is another important organization of United Nations organization. So this is located at Hague, a place known as Hague in Netherlands. This is the only organization which is not there in New York. This is the only organization. This is headquarters is at ICJ, Netherlands, Hague. So it addresses all disputes between the nations, right? Okay, so four Indians are there who contributed in International Court of Justice. Benegal Narasimha Rao, who was also the advisor to the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly is a body which was formed in 1946 to write a special constitution for India. For this constitution body, Benegal Narasimha Rao was the advisor. However, he was the first person, or he was the first Indian to become the judge in this International Court of Justice, Benegal Narasimha Rao. So he was there from February 1950 to 30th November. He was the first Indian, and he was also the previously he contested, he was an aspirant for United Nations Secretary General post. However, he could not compete with that one, but he was an aspirant at that time. And the second one to become the judge in the International Court of Justice was Nagendra Singh. He is not only the second Indian to become the judge of this prestigious organization, he was also the first Indian to become the president of International Court of Justice. The third one was Raghunandan Swarup Pathak. Okay, so he was the 18th Chief Justice of India. So he had also become the judge of ICJ. Dalveer Singh Bhandari, still even today he was the member of this organization. Still he is continuing. He has been there since 2012. So he is the fourth Indian to become the judge of International Court of Justice. And another important organization of UNO is Secretariat. So it consists of Secretary General and lot of employees. So the Secretary General so far who worked in UNO are Trygve, he is from Norway; Dag Hammarskjöld Skojait, he is from Sweden, and he is the first United Nations General, United Secretary General who died while he was in office. As well as next U Thant, he is from Myanmar, and he is the only Asian to hold this position. No other Asian has so far has become the Secretary General of United Nations Organization. After this, Kurt Waldheim, he is from Austria, he had become. So Javier Perez de Cuellar, he is from Peru, he has become the Secretary General of UNO. Boutros Boutros-Ghali from Egypt. After that, Kofi Annan from Ghana. And right now Ban Ki-moon was Secretary General, and he is the second Asian. He is from South Korea. He is from South Korea is the second Asian to hold this prestigious position. When Ban Ki-moon has become the Secretary General of UNO during the elections, another person who contested against him was Shashi Tharoor. He is an Indian. Shashi Tharoor is an Indian who contested against Ban Ki-moon. Thank you.